I'm really thrilled to see all of you, and today it's going to be very interactive, right? Feel free to chip in, to share, because that's what it's all about. It's Jenny and I came up with because we're very, how do you say it? Well, what we do is link to each other, and we just love to talk to you, so that's why we came up with this.
A formal introduction, just so shortly. My name is Jenny Ma. I'm based in New York City. I've been a real estate agent in New York for 17 years. Prior to that, I was in the fashion industry. I'm really honored because Yvonne and my work is complementary. Over the years of my life, I was just drawn to being curious about our existence as human. What is my purpose in life? What is the mission in my life? And what I could be doing to understand myself so that I can understand the world around me, to understand a higher purpose, or to really understand what a higher purpose means. And subsequently, because of the lockdown, I was encouraged by many friends to finally write a program and actively give courses and classes. I founded a work called Freedom Frequency now, and my online course is called Breakthrough Imprints. This idea of understanding many things that could be holding us back in the subconscious, to bring the unconscious, to understand the unconscious, to bring it to our consciousness so that we can be present to those and then be in the clarity, to harmonize and to be in the balance of ourselves so that we can be aligned to live in our potential, to live who we are. So it is my honor to collaborate with my friend Yvonne, because Yvonne's work I totally admire because it is so complementary to this idea of being present.
Hi everyone, I'm Yvonne Dam, and I help, when I say this, it sounds very like after this great introduction of Jenny, where you already become a bit zen because the way she explains it, and there I come. I help busy business owners to double their income and not their time. So I feel a bit like, jeep. But that's why we're very complementary, and that's why this talk came together, where I really help you to focus and to get realigned to your goals. And then Jenny makes sure that you also inwardly are realigned. And that's what we want to talk about today, you know, to get realigned with your goals. And we're going to share some tools and techniques that are quite easy to use, but will have a profound effect on you, how to stay realigned.
Okay. We have the United Nations here, except for Asia. Next time we'll get somebody from Asia. So we're going to jump into this. So I'm going to start by saying what it means to be present. All right, then Yvonne and I will have this conversation in the first few minutes, and then we're going to open up the floor. Now, I always like to ask people, can you think of one thing, an intention that you want to get out from this conversation? The first thing that comes into mind, just write down. And so you will use that as your intention for this time together. What it means to be present, and why is it crucial? A lot of times, especially with my work, Breakthrough Imprints, Frequency Now, it might sound as if it's basic, and simple. But it's always this basic and simple things that I realize that from experience that I take for granted. But it's really these simple and basic things that sets that foundation in everything. Just a quick note that how is it to being centered? First, we have to recognize that our physical body is our first home. And we have to realign through ourselves, through our inner selves, through the heart, so that we can start organizing what are not organized. What do I mean by what not organized? There are things that could be taking us back from old memories, traumas, frustrations, and with the opportunity of reflection due to the lockdown and all these challenges in the past 3 months the world had experienced, I think we can all agree that we're not the same person that we were 3 months or 6 months ago. Agree? Raise your hands if you do. Great. And so to realign to where we are today is to reflect in this present time. Everyone will do a quick exercise. I'm now in my present time in New York City, in this here and now. And everyone do the same wherever you are, in Sweden, in Guatemala, in Chicago. And this is the present time that we lock into, then we project.
So now that we've all kind of landed and remember where we are and what we've done in the past, it's quite nice if we also use this to look forward. And where maybe you've set goals for yourself. I don't know, who set goals at the beginning of the year? I know I did. Yeah, and who feels like, okay, maybe something happened during the past month and maybe I need to set some new goals, or better said, because we're speaking about alignment, realign myself to my new goals. And I really love that, Jenny, you spoke about setting an intention for this gathering, but it's the same what you can do for the remaining of the year. If you have to set one intention for yourself, how do you want to look back at the end of the year, starting today? How do you want to look back? Think about it for a moment, maybe write it down, maybe share it, and think of one intention. And if you're done, and maybe just say, you're done. If you need to look back at the end of the year, so it's 31st of December, we all gather in that lovely apartment and we're popping the champagne and we're saying cheers to each other. And we're saying, you know what, remember that meeting we had in July? I set myself an intention. I wanted to feel great. I wanted to feel successful. I wanted to feel, I don't mind.
Where you want to be by December 31st, 2020.
Yes.
That's a perfect projection. Projecting on how you wish your life will be.
If somebody would like to share, I would love to hear that.
Yeah, I'll share. I'm happy to share. I mean, for me, on this kind of a 6-year walkabout, you know, I set an intention back then, and actually I set an intention for myself and for the organization, actually 50 years in the future, and so that, and working back from November 24th, 2060, working back to now, to see that every day my intention and focus is on that future, but what am I doing today in present? And so for me, it's just doing more what I'm continuing to be doing, continue to travel, to educate, to be in the places that I am, and to help hopefully create impact. And so in this long-term goal and long-term vision that I'm following, everything that for me, being present in that, living that, everything that comes into my my sphere of influence, or comes into like you all, that they become a part, and I'm able to kind of compartmentalize and say, okay, how does this conversation, how does this help me to get here? How does this relationship, how does where I'm at right now, how does that play a part, and how is that aligned? And so that it just becomes something that we live, and it just becomes a part of how we start seeing the world too. So that's one of the things that I've kind of come to terms with, and that I can live in this present.
Thanks, Anthony. You said something really interesting. you do something every day, and it's the little steps we take every day that causes that energy to take us. It's really the journey that matters at the end of the day, and how we feel, how we are present to our intention in the little steps that we take in our daily lives. And I also want to add on, and how it is to be present is that the way that we project through our mind and heart when aligned is we need to consciously also change the way that we view the world. 3 months ago, or maybe even yesterday, we experienced something that is traumatic, or we recall something from our childhood that caused us to see the world with this cloud, with this lens. So how about we take this opportunity in this here and now, in this present time energy, to see life, and first of all, to see ourselves, and then to project everything around us in this present energy, and through our eyes to project what it is that we wish for.
I like what you're saying, Jenny, and just to build on also what you were saying, Anthony, is what I always talk about with my clients, and what really helps me as well, is to be clear on your goal, right? To know what your goal is. If I look up, it's because my goal is literally in front of me above my computer. So it's like in my face. And it sounds maybe a very, as a very simplistic way, but visualizing your goal literally and being reminded of it on a daily basis almost helps you to stay focused. And when I work with my clients, a lot of the time they're so busy. And if you ask them, what are you busy with? How does it contribute you getting towards your goal? They are a bit shocked because, let's be honest, life happens and all these things happen and you get distracted, you get asked to do things, and you're, as we all are, we want to help people. So we say yes, but our goal is going that way. And we get to go like this too often because the goal kind of disappears. So I like it when you make it visual, and I like that you can think on a daily basis, what am I doing today? And this is one of the tips I want to share with you. What I do on a daily basis every day before I start my day, I ask myself, so what are the 3, not more than 3, and there can be less, 3 most impactful actions today that I'm taking that are going to help me to achieve my goal? And I ask that literally every day, so also on a Saturday and on a Sunday. So Sunday, it can be today, totally chill, right? Because I know that I need my energy to work. But the 3 most impactful actions on a day, and if you do that every day, you will really start fast tracking your goal, because every morning you're thinking about it. What am I doing today? And if you then make that commitment to yourself, every day you're taking one step closer to the achievement. So
this is great. So then what I like also to do when I do like what Yvonne has suggested, we also need to observe how we feel about those goals. We are human, we have emotions. And what is important that I learned and what I share to people is to be present on how we feel in the moment. If we are feeling hesitation, there's a contraction to the intention or the goal that we are trying to do on a daily basis, because it's normal, we're a human being, okay? And so the way to do this is to capture what our voice in our head is telling us, or visions that flashes that is not feeling that it's helpful for us. So the way to do that, to become present to it, is to write them down and ask yourself, wow, where did that come from? When was the last time that I felt this? And then you travel back to find the root of the cause. Because the thing is, if every time that this memory flashes back or a voice that comes into your head, it's a sign, it's a signal that say, hey, you have not really sought this out. This is the thing that's holding you back. And so becoming present to that helps us to dissolve. Why? Is because if we have something from the past that's holding us back, and we are functioning in the present time with this back tugging, with this past tugging us, we're not in the present. But if we come to harmony and realizing and being in alignment and understanding to become at peace with it, whatever it is that we need to do, then we can be present without being held back. And that's what really it means to be present to how we are inside.
I think we all have those inner voices, right? It's sometimes you feel great, you've got an inner mentor, but you've got also sometimes an inner devil. And it's very easy to say to that inner devil, but the problem is when you push people out, they tend to be like back in your face. So I always tell people to acknowledge the voice, even if you don't like it. And there are several ways to deal with it. You could say, okay, like Jenny said, where is it coming from? And often it is trying to protect us, right? So you're doing something with your business that is scary, you know, you're stepping out of your comfort zone, and this tells you not to do it, right? Because you don't know where you're going. Well, I hear you, I thank you, but today I'm choosing it to doing it anyway. And I like the fact that you also have a choice. And often you need to thank that inner voice for protecting you and saying, but I'm choosing this, I'm choosing to look forward. And I have seen this compared to taking ownership, taking leadership, looking forward and getting into the victim mode. I know we don't like that, but getting into the victim mode is more looking backwards. And Steve, I know you've got some interesting things to chip in. So
for me, living in the present has a very special meaning. Some of you know and are aware of this. 30 years ago, I was diagnosed with leukemia. I went through the standard treatment. I relapsed, and the survival rate for people with leukemia is very low. Once you relapse, the doctors are honest with me to say, Steve, you've got a less than 5% chance to be alive in a year. Once I accepted and acknowledged my situation, I adopted a mindset that I call Embrace Today, where what that means is, how can I make the most of today? I don't have time to think about tomorrow or worry about what happened in the past. I've got today because I didn't know if I would be alive tomorrow. And so I practiced that through really three things. One, awareness of my environment, of the people, of a flower on the, in the garden, to take the time to appreciate what is around me. And secondly, in terms of people, how do I create memories with them that can be meaningful for us going forward? And third and finally was to love the people I care about, to be bold, to say the things that you need to say to those that you love, that you sometimes put off or you wait or you're uncomfortable doing it. But if you're not going to be alive tomorrow, you get bold really quick. And it's through that, when you say living in the presence, that's what comes to my mind and my heart, are to do those things.
That's beautiful. And I think what Yvonne and Stephen have shared, it's really what we are doing is to take control, take back our own power. We there will always be fear in life, but who's taking control, fear or us? So if we embrace and move forward with life to know that there is fear, that's courage. And Stephen, that's what you showed us.
And I'm still there 30 years later, so.
Yes, it's this practice is daily, it's ongoing. And this being present and living on this planet, and the purpose is for us to grow, to flourish, and to live, to thrive, not to strive, but to thrive, so that we can experience an enriched life. As we experience that, we don't need to say anything. People around us will be. And now this leads me to what another aspect that Steve had said. So on Yvonne's note, it says here, why is it easier to help others than to help yourself? And this is coming from a great experience for myself as well. We as human beings, we are programmed to serve, to help other people because it makes us feel good. And while we're doing that, many and oftentimes, I think all of you can agree, we forget ourselves in the equation. Raise your hands if you agree with me that you do that.
Yeah.
You give, right? And I want to share a beautiful short quote. Everyone knows Brené Brown? Okay. It says here, talk to yourself like you talk to someone you love. Talk to yourself like you talk to someone you love.
Yeah, I think that's it's beautiful. It's sometimes it helps when you say out loud what you're actually saying to yourself, and then I can tell you, you start blushing immediately because you wouldn't say it, or it's not PR rated, as they say. Well, mine isn't. I'm sorry, maybe it's just me, but it's not. It's bad. And then it helps you to say it out loud, and you go like, oh, I'm really harsh on myself. And so that's again with that voice, and you're like, if that voice talks to you, you can, one of the easy ways is actually to give it a ridiculous voice. So sometimes you can make it like a Minnie Mouse voice or a Mickey Mouse voice, and then he talks to you that way. You go like, oh, go away, you're silly anyway. That's one of the things that really helps with the little voices. And the other thing that you talked about, Jenny, is that we always, almost always, I must say, is we put others first before ourselves. And I saw something the other day that really made me think, and it said, if you're in business to serve other people, you can only serve other people when you've served yourself first. Because if you don't serve yourself first, you don't have the energy, you can't give the quality that the other people deserve. And I actually added the last bit that was almost like something that needed emphasizing for me, because everybody has heard the expression, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? And then we think, well, the cup isn't empty. You know, I'm nearly rock bottom, but I'm not there yet. There's still a bit of energy in me left, so I can share that. But if you're thinking about the other people are actually best served when there is enough quality in me and enough energy, so really help them, then all of a sudden you're not selfish when working on yourself or taking a break or saying no because you need some rest. You're actually doing them a favor, because you know you can only help them, truly help them, and really be there for them when you are feeling better. And I like that thought, and it makes it for me much easier. So
yes, it goes down to self-love, right? So you can't love anybody else until you love yourself, and it goes hand in hand with that, right? And you know, Yvonne, you and I worked this past week on, a hurdle, a barrier that I've carried with me as a burden for many, many years. And I was sitting here stuck on my marketing. And as soon as I broke out that barrier, I was able to just write beautifully. But I had to dig within myself and figure out who I needed to forgive, who I needed to send some love, but figure out within myself, forgive myself first before I could forgive that individual where I carried this burden for almost my entire career. But it goes down to self-love. You can't give unto others unless you give to yourself, and that is love.
So in the context of being present of what Yvonne had just said, I love it. So practicing being centered, meditation, or just being present to who we are, however you want to call this, it's connecting to who we are at this present moment. So in the middle is us. Like I said earlier, our physical vessel is our first home. And if we are not present in this here and now to who we are inside, no matter what it is that I write as a business proposal or my business plan, or before I even pick up the phone to call my client, I'm not in the equation. But if this is what I love, when helping people to be in this harmony. It's all about harmonizing in this present time. I'm aware of my fear. I'm aware of what has been holding me back. I'm now taking a breath, being present here and now, with the intention of writing my business plan, with the intention of what my objective is, calling my client or calling Yvonne to bounce an idea about this call. Then what that means and what could happen is that whatever it is that we are doing can travel far. So just imagine we're now 14 or 15 of us. We're here in this same space of being present, in the space of joy and creativity and love. Imagine the ripple effect that we are causing now that we don't know. And this is the part that I love. The more every one of you here are doing what you're doing, what we are doing is not just for ourselves, but because it starts from our consciousness, from our mind and our heart, being in this clarity. And it just helps elevate and open up many things in the world that we won't even know how far this reaches. And this is why today in 2020, especially in the past 20 years, in the evolution of our time and our generation, it has elevated, many things has ascended, has opened up. Just simply like this conversation we are all having now. 20 years ago, besides technology, this kind of conversation were a little limited. People are not as open to talk about, to discuss this. Absolutely, Anthony, it's a collective awakening. So the more we practice ourselves, it doesn't just stop from ourselves. Every day, if we do the ritual, every day, if we do the practice that Yvonne has shared, and what I have shared, it just doesn't stop. It travels to the people we love, and then to our business, especially. We're in a service industry. If we put ourselves in the equation, being centered of what our objective is, it goes beyond. And what I wanted to sort of end this part is to say that whatever it is that we do in each moment doesn't stop just with us. It starts from us and it spreads to the world around us?
That was nice. So I'm like, I really like that, Jen, and I think the one thing that pops up to me, this, I don't know how you guys feel, but this feels really nice. I feel uplifted already by this talk. So I'm going to ask you two questions to wrap it up, and to also make sure that now we're feeling great and we've shared some things, and I think we've all been put into thinking mode again about embracing life, you know, self-love, meditation, and then the Zoom stops and we're back onto the inbox and the pings, and you know, life goes on. And I think one of the most important thing is to realize that sometimes you need to make time, because if we're saying yes to what we've discussed now, and this is a great feeling, being in the present, being grateful for what there is, and you know, realigning with your focus, with your purpose, that's great. And I truly wish we can all do that. But I know once Zoom is over, things start happening again. So I want to ask you, what are you gonna stop to give yourself more room to be in the present, to have this realignment with your focus, with your goal? So what is it you're stopping that you actually can have this presence? That would be for me a very nice way to round this up and to actually take with. And if
Yvonne, can you give an example
yes,
for
I can.
yourself?
The one thing I'm going to stop. I'll start. Okay. The one thing I'm maybe you all, but we all have this. Yeah. And I am famous for posting something on LinkedIn, and then I've lost 2 hours. Mindful, mindless scrolling, answering, and I can tell myself, yeah, it's business, but in all fairness, it wasn't. It's just I lost time. So I have found an amazing app which is called Forest, and I can put it on, and then it tells me I'm going to focus for 20 minutes or for whatever time I set it. And if I focus that, it's going to plant a tree. Must be honest, I still don't know whether they're really planting a tree or whether it's just in my mind. I don't care. But what I'm going to do to save myself time and to get back on the focus and to feel better is to stop mindless scrolling. So this is my oath, guys, because you're all here. And I'm going to do it by using that app Forest more. I'll share it with you later if you want to. But it's an app where basically you can't touch your phone or a tree dies. So that's what I'm going to stop.
When I was 6 years old, my father made a decision to provide a better life for his family. We had little when we were young. My father came home one night and he was very exhausted and he threw up. I was 6 years old and I found myself cleaning up his vomit. What happened then to me? If the interpretation in life I made, life is hard. You have to work hard until you get sick. I got sick in my late 20s. I had tuberculosis like my father did. What I recognize, and I still have this habit now, this is what I'm coming at. I have a hard time sleeping. I work and work and work and work until I'm exhausted. So Yvonne, to answer your question, I have been actually trying to train myself to sleep before I'm completely exhausted. Because as some of you know me here, I work 14, 16, 18 hours until wee hours in the morning until I'm totally exhausted. And I see Stephen nodding. And so this is what I have been struggling with. And this is what I am going to do. I'm going to sleep early. I'm going to set my goal to sleep before midnight. I don't sleep until 2 or 3 in the morning. So I'm going to set my goal to midnight. Little steps. You see, when we change, it's important to do little steps. It's not that, oh, I want to like start waking up at 6 in the morning, go to bed at 9. that's not real. That's not realistic, as Yvonne will attest. It's those little steps that we take to reach there. So that's my goal, Stephen. Thank you for asking. Anyone wants to share?
I'm going to start respecting my own time more, because I tend to say yes to pro bono work while I'm trying to scale a business that isn't profitable enough just yet to support me. And I have that altruistic need to say, yeah, I can help you out. Next thing you know, I've spent 20 hours of my month media pitching something with absolutely no compensation, because what happens with all of that is that it gets bigger. I do not manage the parameters of what I volunteer to do, and then I get swamped with things that are forcing me to work harder. So Jenny and I sometimes meet each other on email at those crazy hours, and that's because we're both having those same habits, and Yvonne is breaking me of those habits. So it's all very healthy, and if any of you get the opportunity to work more closely with Yvonne and Jenny, I definitely recommend it.
Thank you, Kathleen. And so I'm going to get Sin-ying, because I know she gives a lot of her time. She's a teacher.
Yeah, I think teachers also need to be teach themselves too. And I think it's always, because I'm working with arts, okay, and I use my hands. And I think when I use my hands, even though during this pandemic time, I couldn't really able to go to my studio or in my school because everything locking down. I do have to work with my hands, even though something was not my intention for my grand idea of art. Simply just like knitting. And I think that kind of hand motion would take our, like meditation, like breathing. So you do something that which you are not using, that you are not just use your mind to solve problem, because I always solving problem for people. But I do have my own problem I need to solve for myself. So the way that how I'm going to, unline myself is to use my hands and has my hands to think and not just my mind and head. And I got overwhelmed with computer, and I'm not the computer person at all. But I think now a lot of people are trying to get into art because the meditation quality of it, even though you don't have to necessarily be in a great artist and try to save the world. And I don't think that art is that way, but people think so, change the world. But I think you have to change yourself before you change the world. So that's how I give myself exercise every day.
That's great, Sin-ying. Yay. Kaseim.
First of all, Jenny, I didn't know that you had these sleep issues. I just thought that you were just like a boss like that, because I remember getting these emails like at 1:30 in the morning. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, why is she up to, like, why ain't she sleeping? And I wanted to like call you out on that. I'm like, you know what? Let her do her thing. She's in real estate. She's working. Recently, within the last few months, I would say, since this whole pandemic thing has come about, I had to start learning to say no and being okay with saying no. And when I said no, it was a place from sincerity and with gratitude. But I realized that I have to take care of myself first, before I try to help and extend to others, because I'm a very helpful social person. I just like helping people. But it got to the point where my energy was being zapped, and my energy was being taken. And it's just like, they say when you're in the airline, you're sitting in your seat and they do the flight thing. And they say, okay, when the mask falls, you put the mask on yourself first before you put the mask on someone else. And I think sometimes we have to remember that we have to look out for ourselves first before we kind of help others. So I've started to set boundaries. So my philosophy is I sleep when the baby sleeps. I think it's important for me to kind of set boundaries and be okay with those boundaries and say, hey, like, it's okay if I don't answer emails after 7 o'clock. I'll answer them, tomorrow morning or the next day. And it's a way for me to maintain my health and, and my sanity. And whenever issues arrive, I just go to that place of gratitude. It always starts with gratitude. Like, man, you know what? I am so grateful to still have this job right now, because I know a lot of my friends, they don't have it. Or I'm still grateful to have my health, or, you know, the place that I live in. I always start from there first, and everything else just seems to kind of calm itself down.
Nice. Kaseim, thank you for sharing that. I really love it. I shared an article I wrote a while back on tips on to say no more easily. And one of my clients has it printed above his computer because he was also, you know, I think we love to say yes. And I love how you said that, you know, it's not easy, which is never, a new habit is never easy, but it's just you're doing it for the greater good. So I love what you're saying. And I think it's just going through this motion and then it becomes normal. But currently it's not feeling normal, but it should. So yeah, my compliments.
What is important to this is the technique that I always recognize what caused us to feel that we need to be there for everyone to help. What caused us to think, the root of the cause, to think that we have to be always helping other people? Did we witness somebody, especially our mother, who gives everything to everyone in a family household? We need to find those thoughts and to harmonize, to understand what causes, and to understand we are not our mother, we are not our father. It's not that what they did was good or bad. It's because it was in their time. They knew what to do in that time. But this is who we are today. The world has elevated, like we said, you know, the collective consciousness has elevated, ascended. So we need to find and set that barrier that makes sense for us. That is who we are, and that is our reality. We don't live the reality of our parents or our grandparents. We must recognize what is that our reality. It's not that we don't want to help people. It's because we are prioritizing our well-being.
Yes. So I think that mainly a lot of us have been conditioned by the system. If you guys think about it, even from school to religion to society, they have always told us, you know, anytime you think about yourself, like if you buy yourself something as opposed to sharing your money with everyone else, ooh, what an egoistic, central, self-centered person, you know, and it's really, we're breaking away from that mentality, that old obsolete mentality where you needed to be in service of everyone in order to be a good person. I think we took it to the extreme. I think, as we have mentioned, we need to always remember that our ability to help others is going to be according to how we are prepared. And in order for us to be high performers, we need to worry about our health, our self-awareness. Think about our self-awareness. Back in the day, self-awareness was like something crazy. Oh, what is he doing? He's talking to himself. He's thinking in his head, and he's even answering himself. Whoa, you know what I mean? Like it was like a taboo kind of attitude, you know? And so it's like we need to get away. Yeah, it was selfish. And so this guilt, we need to get away from. Kind of like the past, you know? The past seems to be like regrets and guilt. We need to cut them out. Because if you think about it, they are only emotions. They are only feelings as opposed to reality. As the same way we shouldn't worry about the future, because that's just worry. And worry doesn't get you anywhere but to stress yourself and to even make you less productive. And so those are the things that we need to learn. We need to understand that we're like a machine. We need to maintain it. We need to keep up all the hardware. We need to make sure that every piece is well oiled, because if we're going to perform well and be expected to be high performers, we also need to respect our sleep. We need to respect ourselves, our meditation, because, you know, I think that one of the biggest and strongest things we have been able to share lately is self-awareness, guys. I think that once you have that relationship with yourself and you start going, okay, how do I feel about this? How do I feel about what they're telling me? Is this good? And you know, and being able to be free to choose and to actually, you know, recognize the priorities within the decisions we make, within the services we give. You know, as myself, I remember back in the day when I was a network administrator, I was 24/7. You know, I had a corporation that any minute or any day was set $1.7 million in risk if I didn't do my job correctly. So the pressure was on. But now, you know, it's like we need to understand that we cannot live that way. We cannot perform well that way. And so once we start recognizing the priorities of how to maintain ourselves, you know, physically, mentally, spiritually, and all those aspects of life that need to be addressed, I think we're going to be way better. We're going to perform way, you know, at a higher level, and we're going to be able to give more. I'm thinking, you know, like, for example, right now, I'm being forced, because of my business, you know, it just went down. And now I have to go through my side gig, and I have to really invest a lot of time in studying, in learning new programming languages. And this takes a lot of time, a lot of focus. And, you know, I have little children. I have a 4-year-old princess and a 5-year-old little man that, you know, they want to play and they want my time. And sometimes it's very difficult to say, oh, no, not right now. Or, oh man, you know, I can't sit with you and watch that cartoons. But, you know, I think about it and go, okay, you know what? This rest of the year is going to be focus because of the situation. I'm going to sacrifice a little time away from them. I'm going to sacrifice a lot of my time for entertainment and other things. But you know what? After those 6 months of investment, of planning, of sacrifice, I know that they are going to be great results. So I think that that's something that is great that we are beginning to understand in many of our lives, that we need to, you know, prioritize what's happening, you know, dropping everything that because you know somebody or because somebody's related to you. You need to understand that there are priorities and they apply to everyone. Don't discriminate. Apply it to everyone. You know, because you need to take care of yourself first before you can give more help to others.
Okay. So the next round, Yvonne and I have what we call how to set ourselves for the day and the goals. So I want to wrap this up and thank everyone, because we are 15 minutes over the time, and we are so grateful. I'm very, very grateful to have this amazing conversation with everyone. I think we're all givers.
And I just loved it. Thank you for staying on. I love the variety, the inclusivity, and everybody openly sharing. I think I've learned quite a few things. I've got new takeaways I'm gonna work on.
I look forward to do many more with you all. We are fortunate now, and all of us here are fortunate because we're open to discuss many things that people are not open to. And it takes us all here to be open, to inspire others. And let's not forget, it's not by words, it's by the ripple effect of the energies that what we are putting together here. So with that said, thank you, everyone. All our goal is to be able to help as many people as possible, to inspire people, anyone that we can reach. But I understand the reach is immeasurable, and let's continue this this projection to spread the joy and creativity in life when we are in a space of love.
Bye everyone. Thank you so much.
Goodbye, Guatemala. Goodbye, Sweden,
Yeah.
Tanzania, Chicago, Queens, Connecticut, New York City, New Jersey, and Netherlands.
Yay.
Yeah.